Welcome. Good morning. I hope you guys are all having a great Saturday. Welcome back to another MAP-edu. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get this meeting started. Alrighty. So again, welcome to this MAP-edu today, Saturday, May 22nd. Today is a special meeting. We're doing an alumni type of meeting today. So we hope you guys enjoy what we have in store for you. But before diving into all the fun stuff, just wanted to reintroduce ourselves, your MAP team, for anyone that's joining that's new. I'm Alex Akopian, I'm your Neighborhood Services Program Coordinator. And also we have Justin Edson, our Neighborhood and Business Services Division Manager. We're your MAP team, so we're the faces of MAP. And also you'll probably notice Lauren Davidsmeyer is no longer with us, but she is onto a new adventure and she provided so much great things to our MAP team. We will miss her greatly, but yeah, we just wish her all the best on her new adventure. So today's schedule, so this is the breakdown of what's going to be going on. We'll have a small welcome from our Mayor Tom Adams and City Manager Dylan Feek, and then we will have an opportunity to meet one of our new Monrovia police officers, and then we'll jump right into map leader zones. Some of you might be asking what that could be, but you'll soon realize what that is. And then a map leader refresher with on code enforcement, and then map refreshers, very generic ones, and also some toolkit brainstorming. And then an ADU presentation from our planning division manager, Sherry Bermejo. And then we will end the meeting with some map announcements, upcoming events, and most importantly, raffles. So before jumping into this welcome, I also just want to recognize some of our other council in attendance. We have, of course, Mayor Tom Adams. We have Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Cudgington, Council Member Becky Shevlin, and we also have Council Member Larry Spicer. So Mayor Tom Adams, take it away.
All right, thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. So happy MAP Saturday to everyone. It's going to be another great day, and Alex and Justin have put together a great program for you. But I do appreciate the fact that almost all of my colleagues are here with me, but I wanted to throw out one little fun fact about Larry Spicer. Is Councilmember Spicer's getting ready to leave for Colorado. His son Lawrence will be graduating from the United States Air Force Academy. So if you see Larry, give him a big hand. This is a pretty exciting thing. It's hard to do. It's hard to even get appointed to an academy. It's even harder to graduate from that academy. So Lawrence will be coming out truly an officer and a gentleman. And Larry, congratulations to your entire family. I know you're pretty excited about it. But I do want to welcome you all. This is always a great, great event to participate in. And I do want to throw out a little word of caution. Don't forget your masks. I know the CDC keeps changing some rules, but here in LA County, this is still the order. So play it safe, and hopefully you can all enjoy the day and stay healthy. And thank you so much. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Tom Adams. Appreciate it. And Dylan. So actually, we're going to come back to this when that time comes for City Manager Dylan to come and just say a brief hello. So before I dive into the rest of the meeting, I'm going to welcome up one of our new Monrovia police officers to answer some questions that we gave her, so that way you guys can get to know her.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zaira Mungia. So I grew up in the city of Monrovia. I've been living here since I was 2 years old. So it's very, very personal to me, and I love it here, which is why I chose to serve here and make the community safer But in general, I've always wanted to be a police officer since I was like 15 years old. So I became an explorer here, police explorer here, since I was 15. And then I did that for 3 years. And then I became a police cadet once I was able to get hired when I was 18. And I did that for like less than a year. And then I decided to be a parking control officer. So I did that for over 3 years. And during that time, I basically just waited until I can finally go to a police academy. So I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona. I studied business there, and then I went to the academy, which was 6 months long. And this is actually my last day on training. So yeah, here I am. And I've always wanted to be a police officer here. I love this city so much. So I know one of these questions is, I hope to do or to bring to the Monrovia community is to make it a safer for everyone to live. And I generally love all the events that we have and how it's so family oriented. So that's really what I love, and I want everyone and all the families when they're here to feel safe. And my secret talent is I like to paint. I do like to paint. I boxed for a couple years, but I don't do that right now. But that's another thing I love to do. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So as you all know, for those who have attended our MAP-edus in the past, we always like having a new police officer come on and just say hello and introduce themselves and make themselves known. When you see them out in the community, you can say hello. Alrighty, so with that said, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to map leader zones, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it away to Justin.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for participating. I wanted to go over some new ideas that we had regarding our map leaders. And we're going to start off by going over some zones that we've created to look at options on engaging map leaders after they graduate our leadership academies. So this is both for youth and adult. And so we're going to discuss some of the ideas we have going into this new year, coming out of the COVID shutdown, and as we start to meet in person, and our upcoming leadership academies in September and October are just around the corner. So we wanted to strategize and come up with a good idea going forward on engaging and networking with our map leaders so that we can keep that great energy going forward in our community. So first, we were looking at collecting all this information regarding email, contact name, and what zone of the city each of the map leaders are from. So this is prior graduates and all new graduates that we look forward to bring on board. But we divided the city up into 4 quadrants: the Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, and Southeast. And the goal of this idea is really to enhance the networking between map leaders going forward so that we can have that energy and communication a lot easier between folks. So when we start the next future leadership academies, we're going to bring up the zones, and we're going to ask that people volunteer to share their information, their email, and that way we can bring that together and share that with our zone leaders. So next we'll see a map of the city, and this map shows the 4 areas that we've broken down. Basically everything north of Colorado and west of Myrtle is the Northwest, and then the Northeast is east of Myrtle and north of Colorado, and the Southwest in the green is south of Colorado, west of Myrtle. And then the last zone is the yellow, which is the Southeast, south of Colorado, east, east of Myrtle. And that kind of breaks it down so that those groups can have a smaller region to network and share information about those neighborhoods in that area. And the goal is to really increase the communication. So the idea is that we'd have a zone leader and a co-leader in those areas that would have communication with the MAP team, and they kind of take the lead on keeping those neighborhoods up to speed on new events and news that are coming out in the community. So one thing that's going to be very critical for this idea going forward is we have such a great group of map leaders. We're over 350 strong over these years, but to have a really strong networking circle, we really need active zone leaders and co-leaders in the community. And these folks will help us on the MAP team engage folks in each of their zones, share information, and just keep them up to date on any events coming up, any community things that we're doing that we could use the volunteer help. So we're looking for zone leaders and co-leaders of these 4 new zones as we move forward to help us engage their neighborhoods. So with that, we'd like to share that if anybody's interested in being a zone leader or co-leader in their area of the city, reach out to the MAP team. Let us know that you're interested and what zone you're in. And that way we can start working with you and talking about a strategy to engage and network with your neighborhoods. And this is just to help us network even stronger and keep everybody engaged. So it's minimal commitment. It's not, time consuming. It's just a matter of having that energy to help serve the community and keep map leaders engaged with the map team. So that's all we're looking for, is just that great energy. If you are interested in either of those positions, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to work with you and start to get that established. And then also, we're always open for ideas and opinions, because truly, as the residents of the city, you know what you'd like to see, and anything that you think would make it better and enhance the networking, let us know. Reach out to us, call us, email us. But we also wanted to open up, if anybody had any comments, you can share it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and share any ideas with the group here. We have a lot of map leaders on the screen here today that if you have ideas on how to increase that networking and how to grow that so that we can stay in touch and keep this energy going, please share with us. We're growing this idea so that we can keep it moving forward year after year. So at this time, if anybody's interested in sharing any ideas or comments about this enhanced networking going forward, I wanted just to give a chance right now before we move on to the next topic. If anybody wants to speak or say anything in the chat. I see Gail.
Mm-hmm. You could just let her know she can.
Yeah, Gail, if you want to unmute.
Or she could send in the chat too.
I unmuted. Okay, I'm unmuted now. I had unmuted myself, but I was still muted. I want to know if anyone is giving consideration to, and I missed the first few minutes of the meeting because I couldn't find the instructions to get in. Thank you, Becky. Has anyone taken the existing list of MAP graduates and parsed the list? We have people that went through the MAP program that are no longer with us. And I believe that someone should be set to the assignment of going through all the graduates, finding out if they are still in the area and still want to participate, because that would give a good resource to both the leader, co-leaders. We kind of need to know who's there and then who's coming on board in the future. Well, that was that.
Yes, sorry. Sorry, there was a little feedback there. So Gail, that's a great idea because it would be a cumbersome task because there are so many map leaders that have gone through the problem, which is from the program, so which has been great. But over the years, checking through that list would be really great to go through and vet and see if everyone is still available and if they're still in the area, because there have been some people who have moved or are out of state. So I think that would be something good to consider doing in the future. So we can see about doing that by providing like an Excel sheet, and then having some map leaders go through and just maybe give a friendly phone call and see if they're still able to be an active map leader, because that's our end goal, is just to make sure that we all stay active out in the community and do all the good work we can. So thank you, Gail, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
It's really, really important to keep up to date. You know, I love Pam Fitzpatrick. I miss her terribly, but I don't imagine if I call her or Jennifer or Charlotte Shelmondon that they're going to be able to step up and help. You know, our lists need to be updated. So thank you.
Thank you, Gail. So I guess we'll open up for any other questions or suggestions, like how Gail provided us anything.
I think this zone idea is a really good idea. I'm a recent graduate from the very last training session, and I missed right away being able to contact the people that I had met there. And so I think this is a really good idea. So
yeah,
good.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Anybody else?
Alex?
Yes.
It's Becky. I don't know how you would facilitate it, but it just comes to mind. Have you ever thought of working through nextdoor.com? Because they already have neighborhood groups already established. And for those that are in those groups that have not heard about MAP, I mean, that provides an additional opportunity to share what we're doing as well. Just a thought. Maybe it wouldn't work, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
No, that's a great idea. The great thing about combining all of our minds together and our ideas together is that there's some great things that can come out of it that we never would have thought before if we hadn't opened it up for questions or suggestions. So that's definitely a great one. I'm actually gonna just take a second to write it down. So I will definitely work with Justin and the rest of the team to see how we can go about doing that. So thank you.
I'm back if you can take another question. And that is, when you went over the zones, there are the mechanics of how do you communicate? Not everyone Facebooks, not everyone emails, not everyone phone calls. So you probably do need to establish a common tool that the group as leaders would need to be signed into. And what that tool is, I leave that to you.
Yeah, great question. So the idea behind this is to regionalize a little bit more than a broad city wide initiative. So with the zones, the goal is to get the help of the zone leader and co-leader to help the MAP team out in the local neighborhoods. So to kind of take a little bit smaller piece of the pie. And with that would be the main objective would be the email communication with the folks that are registered in that specific zone. But if the zone leaders are interested in creating Facebook groups or other ways that they can communicate with their group, then that's what we want to encourage. And that's something that we're going to be discussing here shortly, is some ideas about engaging the neighborhoods and your neighbors, a toolkit for ideas of getting on social media or doing things in a local neighborhood versus citywide. And so the idea is to break it into those 4 zones, and the leaders would help navigate that and then work with the MAP team to facilitate any of their needs. But we do look forward to future block parties, and like I said, coming out of COVID with the emergency order, we're looking forward to having more things in person going forward. So any of these ideas about neighborhood block parties and things that we could help facilitate, that's what we're going to be working with these zone leaders as they hear from their neighbors in their area. So great point, but yes, we definitely want to look for ideas to engage the neighbors, not just through a social media platform, but emails, things in person. We want to give those toolkits to the zone leaders. And any other questions or comments? So before we move into the next subject.
I don't want to be ageist, okay, because I'm aged, but again, we have some great map leaders that are older, and they are probably not going to use some of the most social media skills, but we need to find a happy blend, because you're going to throw the young people off if you throw them on Nextdoor. I've not liked Nextdoor for a while, which doesn't mean I'm young, but some common tool that we could all use. I mean, there's value in the good old going door to door, and then there's the value in uh, doing it from where you are, texting and all of that kind of thing. So finding that technology is going to be the difficult blend.
Totally agree, and that's yeah, that's part of our mission with these zones. Is it's a blend between a lot of different avenues with the social media, the email chains, the in-person neighborhood meetings. We want to engage everybody that we can, and a lot of that is going to be dependent on the neighbors reaching out to each other and the zone leader helping communicate for those neighborhoods. So we're just trying to build that stronger team that we could network even stronger. But yes, it definitely is going to involve a blend of in-person, old-fashioned, reach out to your neighbor, to emails and the digital side of things. So we look forward to bringing all those aspects into it. Okay.
Just having in the chat that just emphasized learning about map by map organizers that went door to door.
Yeah, it's definitely as we get out of the COVID restrictions and into the summer months with the block party that's kicking off in July, and we'll go over the dates coming up in the later in the presentation. We definitely look forward to having that face-to-face and interacting with everybody in person again. So we're going to move into a map leader refresher about some tips and tricks, just some updates regarding code enforcement and resources that the city offers. And then we'll move into a toolkit after that. So I'll get started with discussing our code enforcement team and what they do. So here is our 4 code enforcement officers throughout the city. Some of them are some faces that you've seen before. We also have a new code enforcement officer, Jennifer Yoshida, and she just joined us just over a month ago. And she is going to be representing the south portion of the city, which is everything south of Huntington. And we also have Cassie, Ken, and Christina, who've been with us for a few years. So I wanted to introduce, before we get moving into some tips with code enforcement, I want to introduce Jennifer real quick. If you want to sit down.
Okay.
Oops. Just to say hi.
Hi, I can't see myself.
Here. There you go. You're good.
Just a little bit about yourself.
Hi, good morning. It's good to be here with everyone. I'm happy to be working here in the city of Monrovia. I had done part-time code enforcement for the city of Costa Mesa, and I did that for a little over 2 years. And I have a planning experience from being an admin assistant for the city of Rancho Cucamonga. And I have lots of animal control experience prior to that, almost 10 years. But I am happy to be serving the community here in Monrovia and look forward to meeting all of you in person. Hi, Sherry. So that's a little bit about me. I'm happy to be working with the residents here in the community and building the trust and everything there. So thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. So as I mentioned, we're very excited to have Jennifer on board with our team to help out and work with residents to address blight issues and help improve the community. So again, we're really glad to have her on board with the rest of the team that's already here. So from that, we're going to discuss some of the code enforcement topics. Starting with, as you can see, these are the items that we see most common, and I wanted to share some tips regarding how we address each of these in the city. So first, we're going to discuss signage. So as you might see across the city, there's sometimes you'll come across some yard sale signs and real estate signs. So just as information, we do now issue permits again. Just started a few weeks ago with the lift on the health order. So we are issuing permits for yard sales again for $5, and that is handled through our code enforcement team. So you can do that either by emailing us through the website, coming into City Hall at the counter, or mailing it to us with a check, and we'd be happy to coordinate your permit and get that yard sale up and running. And just a friendly reminder, that's once every 6 months, and that you cannot put any signs out on public property. So light poles and center medians and so forth like that. So that is our information about yard sales. And then we also regulate real estate signs. So that cannot be on public property as well, in the medians or on sidewalks. There's concerns with that as well. So if code enforcement happens to pick one of those up during the week, feel free to come by City Hall and meet with code enforcement to get those picked up if we happen to pick it up. You can do that Monday through Friday when City Hall is open. Realtors can come by and meet with us to get their signs back. And then next, we're going to discuss trash can storage. So as you might see week to week, trash cans can come and go. And obviously neighbors can go on trips and so forth. So we always encourage coordinating with family or neighbors to help take the trash out and bring it back in. So as a heads up, you can put your trash cans out starting sunset the day before. So for example, if your trash day is Tuesday, you can put those out Monday evening at sunset or Tuesday morning, and then just make sure that you bring those in by the end of that day. So if it's Tuesday, bring it in by sunset on Tuesday. And that way the trash cans don't stay out throughout the week. There's a lot of issues with that. It's not just a nuisance of just seeing a trash can, but if cars hit it and the trash can gets knocked around, if there's trash that spills out, creates rodent issues. And of course, we're right up against the mountainside with the wildlife. And so they love to dig through that and get the snacks. So just keeping those trash cans out for that short period of time for collection and bring them back in, that keeps our city looking beautiful and the rodents from getting in there. And then bulky items. So the city offers through Athens 2 free pickups per year, that if you call Athens and mention your address, your account, you can schedule a free pickup for 2 items throughout the year. If you got to get rid of a sofa or a mattress, schedule the date for that, and then you can put it out the morning of, and Athens will come by and pick that up for you. But we do encounter quite a lot of illegal dumping, where individuals will leave items out in the alleys, on the sidewalks, without scheduling anything. And that obviously creates a nuisance to the entire city. So code enforcement proactively goes throughout the city now 7 days a week. We just started last week with 7-day coverage. So we have a code enforcement officer here 7 days a week, and they proactively go throughout the entire city of Monrovia looking for these items so that they can report it to Athens for a pickup. So we just encourage everybody to educate their neighbors and friends that Athens does do that. You just have to call them up and schedule it so that it doesn't sit out there. If Athens doesn't know that you want to get rid of an item, then that item will sit out there until code enforcement finds it and reports it. So we are enlisting the help from you to get that information out. And then graffiti is also handled through Athens. We do have a hotline. So if you see graffiti on the side of a wall or utility box, even on the sidewalk or anything like that, call that number to report the location so that we can get it cleaned up. If it's on private property, that would be through code enforcement. So that way we can reach out to the owner and let them know that they need to get that painted over and cleaned up. So if you see it on a business wall or the side of a house, just give us a call or email us the address, and code enforcement will follow up and get that cleaned up ASAP. And then I believe lastly, we have shopping carts. So any abandoned shopping carts, when somebody might walk off the property with their cart and it gets left on the sidewalk or down an alley or in a neighborhood, we do have a online reporting system where there's the website right there through Retail Solutions, but it's on our city website under code enforcement. You can find the link there. And there's also a phone number. And you just report the location, how many carts, and they'll go by and pick that up for you. So that's another thing that code enforcement proactively looks for when they go throughout the city, is finding those shopping carts so we can get those picked up as quick as we can. And we just wanted to share for our friends over at the police department is they have a great new update to their website. As you can see here, there's a lot of cool buttons that give information to residents. So you can look at weekly crime reports that they put up. You can report crimes, their community policing team. So they have a lot of great information on their updated website. So if you're interested in finding out about something that might have occurred last week or anything, or you want to reach out to the community policing team, which we call CAP, just visit the police department's website, and you can see there they have all these buttons that will help you get in touch with our police department. And you can always reach out to us if you have any problems or issues with that, but it's a great resource to see the crime report every week, and you can report things right there online from the comfort of your home. So it's a great resource to our residents. Then I wanted to see if anybody had any questions related to code enforcement or these tips. I'd be happy to answer. And I think it looks like we have Gail raising.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm back. I'm back again. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
I do a lot of reporting of abandoned furniture to Alex, to Jiggy. The issue that we've run into is that while you have 2 free pickups in a year, people in apartment complexes are being told something different. Athens wants to charge them for their pickups because they're in an apartment, and that's disparate treatment. Have we done anything to resolve that?
That's something I could discuss with Alex. With apartments, they're multi-family properties, so a lot of those tenants are encouraged to go through their property management to schedule those. And I've heard of situations where, depending on what the lease agreement is or how they discuss this with their management, on who covers that. So it might be something that management company could assist with, or they tell the resident that there's a certain fee associated with those extra pickups. But yes, there's a difference between the general residential single family homes that get those 2 free items that are picked up, or any additional items for a small additional fee. But the multi-family ones, you do have to go through your management company so that they can coordinate those pickups. But I'll talk to Alex to see what the update is on any type of fees for multifamily.
The problem with that is it usually happens at coming in or going out.
Correct.
And the ones that are most apt to have abandoned furniture, because there's often high traffic as to ingress and egress, are going to be the apartment buildings. Management company isn't going to want to pay the fee. It seems to me that if there are 2 pickups per year for a household, well, each apartment is a household, and it should be, if you've got 40 apartments, then it should be 80 pickups. Otherwise, we're discriminated on the basis of your housing unit.
And those are good points that I'll discuss with Alex. We were actually right now starting a strategic outreach program designed at this very topic of bulky items and illegal dumping. So it's going to be a coordinated effort between code enforcement, public works, and Athens. And we're going to be developing a strategy on addressing things like you're bringing up right now, and an outreach campaign to the community about their resources. And that way we're going to focus on reducing the amount of dumped items that we come across in the city. So we're just starting the strategy discussions of that right now with the multi-department focus. But I will definitely note your concerns about the multifamily so that we can address that as well. Okay, any other questions before we move on to the next item? Looks good. Okay.
So now it's my turn, guys. Okay, so we're gonna go over some MAP refreshers, which includes housing, hosting your own events, and volunteering. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the next slide. So housing resources. This is a very big inquiry that we likely get from anyone in the community. So just wanted to put everything in a concise manner so that way you guys can see what kind of resources we provide and other resources other places provide as well that service the Monrovia area. So in Monrovia, we have our Cdbg residential rehabilitation program, and this is to assist our low to moderate income individuals living in the city. So this focuses more so on home improvement to ensure decent, safe, and sanitary housing. So there are certain requirements that one needs to meet in order to apply, and we're currently on a wait list right now. So if you know somebody in the community that is interested, they can definitely inquire, and we'll go ahead and put them on the list, and then give them some more information about the program. And then also, we have our MAP Care for Your Neighbor program, and we're planning on ramping that up in January. So get ready to put on those MAP t-shirts and get your volunteer hat on, and we can start doing some landscaping and yard cleanup for some of those in our neighborhoods that are unable to upkeep on their property because of a disability they may have, or if they're a senior, anything to help those individuals. That's what that program is geared for. And then also we always like to highlight Make a Difference Day, also known as MAD, and we partner with the Volunteer Center of San Gabriel Valley that hosts the event, and they complete very special projects to help clean the neighborhoods one day out of the year. So we're always really happy to be a part of that, and it usually takes place in October. So mark your calendars for seeing that out there in the community as an additional way to volunteer and give back. Other resources that we have that we provide to those individuals that inquire about housing is the Housing Rights Center, which provides fair housing education, landlord-tenant counseling, complaint investigation, and enforcement and litigation. We also do provide the resource of the Baldwin Park Housing Authority, which does Section 8 and low-income housing. They're a really great resource to have. And then the Los Angeles Development Authority, also known as LACDA, which is also the organization we work with for hosting Cdbg residential rehab. They also provide public housing and other resources such as, sorry, I have to move my little grid, trying to multitask, okay. And Section 8 housing vouchers, housing locators, and of course, Cdbg. And then Los Angeles County Housing Resource Center. So we have a flyer of all this information because I know it's a lot, but we have their email, phone number, website that I can go ahead and provide to you guys. And it is also available on our city website. So when in doubt, just visit our city website. So that's for housing resources. And then now, hosting your own events out in the community. Be the neighborhood hostess with the mostest. So just a checklist of some of the stuff to consider when you're trying to throw your own event out in the community. So the type of event, what do you want your focus to be? What do you want your theme to be? Do you want to get more youth engaged? Do you want to get the entire community engaged? Do you want to just get your neighborhood block engaged? So finding out what you want to do and what kind of event you want to host really helps set the tone for the rest of your planning. And then once you figure that out, you can go ahead and see what venue would work best for that event. So it could be a park, it could be the block, it could be somebody's house. One of our fellow map leaders, Joni Ewell, she hosted many neighborhood meetings at her home and invited so many people to her home and really did outstanding, provided food, an agenda of what they're going to talk about. So it's things like that that will help you in figuring out what kind of venue you want to do. And then delegating tasks. Growing up, my grandma always told me that whenever you have an event, delegate tasks, because when they say, hey, do you need help? And they keep asking you, say, no, 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 they're going to stop asking. So make sure to give some individuals a task, and that way they get excited about the event that you're trying to host as well. And do a sign-in sheet of the tasks that you have to do and have somebody sign up, and that way they're doing something that they enjoy, and then that way you don't have to be stressed out and you can actually enjoy the end outcome. And then reserving all the necessities, so whether that be the venue, like how I'd mentioned, or food. You definitely want to feed your group. You don't want any hangry people attending your event. You want them to be smiling and happy. And then, do you need speakers? Do you need somebody to touch on the subject or the theme based on your event? Try to consider that into your planning. But most importantly, you want to encourage people to come to your events. So make sure to invite everyone, whether that's digitally, whether that's going door to door and knocking, or whether it's a phone call, or even giving somebody a list of phone numbers and having them call. So just figuring out how to best approach that invitation to your audience would be very big and a key part. But tip, if you are on a budget, it is really cost effective to do digital invitations. I know digitally you have your complications, which can be very annoying, but it really does help try to push out the information out there a lot. And you could put it on so many different channels. You could do social media like Instagram, Facebook, whatever you'd like, email. But again, I know digital is kind of hard sometimes. So even posting the flyers around your neighborhood, going door to door, and maybe just dropping it off at their doorstep. Don't put it in their mailbox. Don't do that. But just getting the word out there. And then lastly, have fun. It can be stressful hosting an event, especially a really big one, but you really have to kind of slow down and really appreciate every single moment and notice that all the work that you and your team brought together was because of all your hard work, and just enjoying that moment. Because anytime we have a map event, I have to kind of find myself like, okay, slow down, like let's enjoy this. It's a lot going on, but it's great stuff going on and great people coming together and really just bringing our community together and having a good time. So that's the most important part. And then now, volunteering in Monrovia. So keeping that momentum of staying active is very, very important. And just wanted to kind of remind you guys of the different volunteer opportunities in the city. Of course, due to COVID, there have been certain impacts, but that definitely hasn't slowed a lot of people down. They've gotten unique and creative ways on how to still be active in the community. But here are just a list of some of the ones that we have in the city. Of great resources to visit the webpage that has all the openings of the current volunteer opportunities we have in the city. So it could range from the library, fire department, police department. We also have our MAP Care for Your Neighbor program, which will start up in January. So you'll see information about that. But there are so many opportunities, like the library. You could do an English literacy tutor. You can, if you're a youth, you can do the teen advisory board. You could digitize archives and so much more. And then for the fire department, if you want to become a a firefighter and you're one of the youth, you can go in and be a fire cadet. You can join CERT. We have a lot of map leaders that actually are volunteers for CERT. There's also BERT as well for our business folks. And then we have with the police department, a police explorer for our youth, and then citizen patrol volunteers for our folks aged 50 and up. And then for our local community partners, we are so lucky to have them because they are so active and they provide so many great opportunities for our residents to get involved. To point out, Volunteer Center San Gabriel Valley, Meals on Wheels. Macy does a fantastic job. Foothill Unity Center with Betty, I mean, food distribution, you can be a volunteer driver, special events, fundraising, the list goes on. Monrovia Historical Museum, this one's really cool and unique for all of our history people. So being a docent, cataloging, being a tour guide, even helping develop new exhibits. I thought that was really cool. So that would be a great opportunity. And Boys and Girls Club, you can do tutoring, reading, sports, and community outreach, and more. So that's volunteering in a nutshell. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring it to our last bit, which is the Map Leader Toolkit. So everything that we provided throughout this entire meeting, we want to put into a toolkit. So then that way you guys have access to all different kinds of information. So then that way you have the resources to take that out into your community. Because although it's great to have Justin and I have all that information, but it's even better when it's given to multiple people and you guys can reach so many more people. So again, teamwork to make the dream work. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up for any suggestions that you'd like to see in the toolkit that maybe we didn't cover, or maybe like just certain content, anything. We're really open to anything because we want to make this a really great toolkit for you guys. And it'll always be evolving over time because information does change. So yeah, so I'll open up for questions and feedback.
Comment from Sarah.
Okay, so
Can you mute so I can see Sarah?
yes, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself and then Justin's gonna go ahead and take over.
In regards to Sarah's question, she had mentioned that she'd love to see a handout that you can take to new neighbors with phone numbers and tips. And that's such a great idea. Something that our team definitely shares with you, that we are actually in the middle of drafting that as a team, that we thought that would be a great idea for new residents that come to our city to have like a cheat sheet of information that could be shared either through our website or for neighbors to share with each other. So that is such a great idea that we are already working on and can't wait to release that. And then Deborah, your question about being online, yes. Once we have the finalized toolkit, we look forward to sharing that on the website and with our map leaders, as well as our zone leaders, to help them be more successful with their neighborhoods.
May I make a comment, guys?
Yes.
So Donna Baker, I just want to make everybody aware of a new foundation that was just started here in Monrovia. It's called the Monrovia Parks, Wilderness and Recreation Foundation, of which I'm a member of the board. And our mission is to help raise funds for adding things to the parks, wilderness and recreation areas in Monrovia that aren't currently budgeted in the city's budget. So it's our goal to help add benefits and events and things like that that will help raise that money that the city doesn't have to spend. So for instance, one of our goals is to replace all the interpretive signs up at the Canyon Park Nature Center. Another goal would be to add shaded areas in the playgrounds that don't currently offer that. So we are going to be hosting a silent auction in July, and I'll provide everybody that information later. but just be aware that we're new and we're going to be mighty, and we're called Empower, but our website is monroviapwr.org. And we would love feedback and donations for the auction and any fundraising ideas people might have.
Thank you, Donna, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Great service to the city. So it's great to have such a connection with so many programs and help that we could all improve our city and work together. So that's going to be awesome. And I want to see if there's any other questions. Either raise your hand for speaking or through the chat. But great ideas, and these are things that we look forward to sharing as map leaders, and then also the zone leaders, is connecting everybody and improving as we go. It's going to be a living document and a program that, as we learn new ideas and ways to make things better, we'll adapt with that and make it even stronger as we move forward. So we love hearing feedback, whether it's now or maybe an email down the road or a phone call away. Just give us a holler so we can hear some ideas and help the program. So looks good. Welcome, Joseph.
I don't think we have any more questions. Any suggestions? No suggestions, nothing?
Okay, looking good. Thank you. So we're going to move on to our next presentation, which is by our planning division manager, Sherry, and she's going to discuss ADUs and the process with our city. So we're going to let Sherry share her screen so she can open her presentation.
Let's see here. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. I don't know if it's letting me share yet, Alex. Oh, here it comes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity to be with you today. As Justin said, my name is Sherry Bermejo. Many of you, some have seen me at Planning Commission. I work alongside with Craig and Justin, and also our building official, Greg, and it's a pleasure to be here. And today I just wanted to give you a little bit an overview of what are ADUs, JDUs. By a quick show of hands, either virtual or real, does anyone know what an ADU is? Does anyone live in an ADU? Maybe you have one in your backyard. Well, over the last several years, the term ADUs become a little bit more popular. And in 2019, I spent a lot of time searching the web, looking for new material. And I came across this article. This was in Forbes online. And this is a gentleman who basically was saying that 2020 was going to be the year of the ADU, and that ADU housing was an approach that was a creative way to address affordable housing. And that, whoopsie daisy, that same article said that since ADUs are typically cheaper than traditional homes, they are less costly to build. And that with so many wins, he was speculating, why haven't they gone viral? And this was written in 2019. So just a few months ago, this article was published at a Bloomberg City Lab, and it says, how California set off a backyard apartment boom. Now that they're fully illegal, backyard homes are a big business in California. And so right next to this headline, you can see a backyard apartment. This is an ADU that's a prefabbed building that's being delivered and assembled on site in somebody's backyard in San Jose. Now, we haven't had many of these ADUs dropped in the backyards of our Monrovia residence homes quite like this, but I can say that people are talking more and more and more about ADU development. And so how did this happen? Well, as my mom always says, things happen for a reason. And that is over the course of the last 30 years, the state's been looking for ways to increase housing supply to address our increased housing costs and to keep up with the demand for housing. And so in 2019, actually the City of Monrovia has had an ADU ordinance. It's been called was called a second residential unit ordinance since the 1990s. We updated that ordinance in 2019 to respond to state laws. And then we just completed another update in November of 2020 that really focus was to streamline the development of ADUs, increase their capacity. And the focus was from the state was to allow ADUs wherever residential land uses were allowed. So real briefly, what is an ADU? Well, an ADU is a smaller living unit. It has everything you need for your well-being, for eating, sleeping, cooking, bathing. They're always on the same lot as a main residential unit, and they come in all shapes and sizes. As you can see from this picture, they can be created and converted out of a basement. You can actually convert your garage into an ADU. You can build it as a new structure on your lot, or you can build it as an addition to your home. Now, another term that we use is JDU, and that stands for Junior Accessory Dwelling Unit. And these are even smaller living units. They are only allowed on single family properties, and their maximum size is 500 square feet. Now, they differ from an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit in that they can only be built on single family lots, but they have to be converted within an existing or proposed dwelling unit. Now, unlike an ADU, a JDU doesn't need its own bathroom. It can actually have a shared bathroom that's independent of this unit with the primary dwelling unit. And when we say that they have to have an efficiency kitchen, what we're really saying is they need to have a kitchenette. Oftentimes just a hot plate and microwave serves for that purpose. Now, people today are talking a lot about accessory dwelling units, and the reason why is because they are an affordable type of home to construct in California. They provide a source of income for homeowners, and they allow extended families to be near to one another while maintaining privacy. Oftentimes, families grow up, their children age, they go to college, they come back, and it's too costly to find a home where they grew up. And these ADUs are a great example of creating an accessory unit near family so that families can stay together and thrive. Many of these ADUs can provide just as much space as a brand new apartment building or condo, and they actually give homeowners a lot of flexibility to share independent living areas with family members. And for this reason, you'll probably hear the terminology, they're called mother-in-law units. That term's been around for many years. So Monrovia's ADU laws, and I just want to go real briefly over the kind of nuts and bolts of Monrovia's ordinance. What's really important to understand first and foremost is that the state law sets all the criteria and standards for cities that we have to implement into our zoning code with respect to ADUs. There's very little wiggle room that the city has to make adjustments to fine tune it to our community. But I am I think we're very fortunate that Monrovia was able to pull off a state approved ADU ordinance, and that also keeps in mind things that matter to Monrovia, such as neighborhood compatibility and the protection of our historic resources. So the key thing about Monrovia's ordinance that differed from the old version was that now ADUs are allowed in all zoning districts where a single family or multi-family development exists or is proposed. The former ordinance only allowed them on single family lots. Today, you could build an ADU or multiple ADUs on multi-family development. You could also build these in areas that allow commercial development and residential development, such as our neighborhood commercial zone. Now, Monrovia has two applications. The first is called a by right proposal, And the second one is refers to proposals that just require an additional level of planning staff review. Each application a very streamlined process. And I'll get into what the by right proposal means, but essentially it's a certain type of ADU that can bypass the planning staff and go straight to the building division to pull permits. And then when it does require a little bit additional review, it's still very simple. You just get to talk to a planner, and we're all good people, so we'll make sure your process is smooth. And there's 4 basic steps, and the first one is zoning compliance. And so even though there's 2 different applications, the building permit by right proposal and the ones that require a little bit of staff review, we always encourage you to start with planning so we can help guide to make sure you are falling into the right category, and we can outline the review process for you. Once your zoning compliance has been met, then you're allowed to submit your plan into the building plan check process, and the building department will review the plans and make sure they do meet building code. Although the application process is streamlined, there are building and safety requirements that have to be placed into the design. Then the building permit's issued, it's constructed, you'll be working with building inspectors, and once it's done, it will be issued a certificate of occupancy, and you're ready to enjoy that living unit. Now, these slides are intended just to give you an idea of how some ADUs can be placed on a typical Monrovia single family lot. And these all qualify for that building permit only. These slides show 2 traditional lots, 50 feet wide. ADU development, if you are converting an existing space into an accessory dwelling unit, that's a by right approval, it just requires a building permit. You don't need any additional setbacks need to be met. There is a minimum size, and that's 220, but if that garage, for example, is 600 square feet, if it's 800 square feet, if it's 1,000 square feet, there's no size limit on the conversion. If you are converting any space within a single family dwelling unit, it does have to be smaller than what the total main dwelling unit is, because it's supposed to be an incidental unit to the main dwelling. Another building permit by right proposal is building a brand new ADU that's detached from the main unit. And then if it doesn't exceed the size of 800 square feet, you just need a building permit. And then the state has implemented really clear direction on what their zoning requirements are, and this is standard across California, and that is ADUs cannot exceed a height of 16 feet, and they need to meet side, rear, and side setbacks of 4 feet minimum, and that's for new construction. And on single family lots, you can also add a JDU, a junior ADU, so you can actually get 2 additional units on your single family lot. And as I mentioned before, those JDU units are much smaller. They can't exceed a size of 500 square feet. And you can also put ADUs on multifamily properties. So here's an example of a recent development, just to give you an idea of how this could be done. There are 2 ways you can incorporate ADUs into multifamily. If you have attached units, this is a site plan showing 6 units. There are 3 attached units in 2 different buildings. The law says you can convert non-habitable space, such as a garage or electrical room, into a minimum of 1 ADU and up to 25% of the existing number of units in the building. So in this scenario, you could get at least 1 ADU in each of these buildings. Okay, now the other way you can put ADUs on a multifamily lot is, let's say you have an existing duplex. A duplex is 2 units that are connected. You can build 2 detached units. So the multifamily allows a maximum of only 2 units to be built. They have to meet those minimum development standards for height and setback, and they cannot exceed 800 square feet. Another different component to these is that for multifamily, you're not allowed to convert detached accessory accessory buildings such as garages. By right, ADUs on lots that are proposed with multifamily development. So let's say you have a clean slate lot, you want to propose a new multifamily development, you're actually allowed to also include an ADU within that development proposal. So those scenarios I just ran through are the types that just require a building permit. And then we have this other category that's all other. And typically these are only dealing with ADUs that are greater than 800 square feet in size. And for ADUs that are created as an addition to an existing single family unit. And then for ADUs that are being proposed on landmark properties or with historic district contributors or on properties with Mills Act contracts. And then this would be an ADU that's greater than 800 square feet. Here's what an attached one would look like. And of course, if someone wanted to add an ADU to a historic landmark, you would need to review the plan with the planner. And the reason for this is that the key thing about this phase is really just there are some Monrovia-centric design review. They're objective standards. They're very easy to meet. The design of the ADU essentially must match that of the existing proposed dwelling. It has to meet all the same setbacks. And then the maximum size is 1,000 square feet. With respect to landmark, historic district contributors and Mills Act properties, they require an additional layer of review to protect the resource. If the property has a Mills Act contract, they are required to get a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation Commission. One thing about ADUs is the parking requirements over the years have been less restrictive. So all of our by right building permit scenarios do not require any replacement parking, even if you're converting a garage. Parking is also not required if you're within a historic district or if you live within a half-mile walking distance from public transportation. Essentially, you really are not going to have to provide parking unless you fall into that all other category for the larger ADU sizes. Some other things to keep in mind. ADUs are intended to stimulate housing production and to stimulate affordable housing units. And they are not to be used as short-term rentals. And that's typically defined as anything that's rented less than 30 days. Now, for this reason, we do have covenant requirements that are instituted. A homeowner would have to record a covenant with these restrictions against the property. There's no longer a homeowner occupancy requirement for ADUs, so you could own a property and lease out both the ADU and the main dwelling. But for a JDU, there is a home occupancy requirement. Utility requirements, water and sewer fees still apply, but you do not need to have these on a separate meter. And with that, I just want to run through some questions that we typically get all the time. And the first one is, can I use a prefabricated structure as an ADU? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It does have to meet the federal and state standards for that. It has to meet the building code as well. We get this question frequently. Can I use a recreational vehicle or a tiny house on wheels as an ADU? And the answer to that is no. Anything is on wheels is really regulated by the vehicle code, so those don't apply. Will building an ADU increase my property taxes? And just like any addition that's made to a home, that added floor area equals added value to the home, and so you do see that reflected in your property tax. Can I build a two-story ADU? So state law has stipulated this maximum height requirement is 16 feet. We get this question at least once a day. The answer is, if you can fit 2 stories in 16 feet, then go for it. It is a bit tricky, I have to admit. Some are getting lofts, but it is hard to get a 2-story ADU. And then, how much does it cost to build an ADU? Now, this is a hard question to answer because it's like the question of how much does a diamond cost? It really depends on size, quality. You can make it as cheap and affordable, but you could also have a really super quality ADU that costs a lot and has a lot of fancy features. So with that, I guess my final question for you is, which ADU is right for you? So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sherry, that's great information. Know that just to cover, I know Donna, you had asked that question, which Sherry had talked about regarding garage conversions. If it was a ADU that resulted in garage conversion, how does that affect the parking? Do those need to be maintained? And if you just want to touch on that, Sherry, real quick.
Sure. So the beauty about ADUs is today, you can convert a garage and not require any additional parking. It has to be a garage that was built with permits. Another thing that we've been incentivizing, and the state incentivizes as well as the City of Monrovia, but let's say, in years prior to our ADU ordinance, folks have always been converting garages, and we no longer, open up a code case. We delay that process for compliance, and we look for creative ways to legalize any old garage conversion to make it a habitable unit that meets building code and the zoning code.
Awesome, great. And then I don't know, Joseph, if you had a question or just unmuted. Oh, no question. Okay. I don't see any other questions. If anybody has anything for Sherry before we let her go, feel free to type in the chat or raise your hand. It's great information. Okay. Well, thank you, Sherry. That's great information for everybody with ADUs and JADUs.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Sherry.
Oh, you're muted.
Sherry, let's see.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. All righty, thank you, Sherry. That was some awesome information. I wish one day I'll be able to do an ADU. But moving forward, we just wanted to give a special shout out to our MAP leaders that have had a birthday since our last meeting on January 23rd. So happy birthday to all of you. Hope you have a great time. And now that things are starting to open up, maybe you guys can start celebrating. And now moving forward with some MAP leader announcements. So if you have an event or if you have just an announcement to make, like Larry, how his son is graduating, like great announcements like that, this is always the perfect time to do that. And you guys can always let us know before the meeting so we can include it in the presentation. But if not, you can always just share it during the meeting as well. So I'm just going to dive into the ones that we received. So for these ones, so we have the Summer in Monrovia Today coming up. It'll be available on the first week of June. Yay! So postcards will be mailed to all residents with a QR code, very fancy, and that will be able to help you access the digital brochure. Hard copies will still be available at the community center, library, and city hall, especially now that we are open to the public, so you can come on by and grab one. And currently we are working on a portal on the city website to request a copy to be mailed to you. So I'm telling you, when in doubt, just go to our city website. It has everything. But if you still have questions or anything of that sort, please feel free to call the number here on the screen, which is 626-256-8234, and stay tuned for more information. And then also we have our previous map leader, Susan Hirsch, who passed, and we have, there's a GoFundMe going on right now for a memorial bench in her honor. And she was, will forever be known and remembered as a fierce advocate of equity, access, and justice for our community's youth. So if you want to help at all, that is the way to go. I believe they only have about 900 left to get to their goal. So definitely appreciate anyone who helps. And then super exciting, we recently joined Neighborhoods USA, also known as NUSA, and we are happy to announce that we came back from the conference with 2 awards. First place in the digital map neighborhood news newsletter, and second place for the 2020 virtual map adult and youth leadership academies. So we literally just found that out this morning. It was really exciting. We were jumping up and looking like fools, but happy fools. But it's a really nice opportunity to see all the hard work that comes from staff and all of our speakers that attend and all of you that make these programs just amazing. So we couldn't do it without you guys, and we wanted to share that very exciting news. And then on that high note, just still going higher and higher, I'm gonna pass it on to Justin to do another announcement.
And on that great news, I also want to thank Councilmember Larry Spicer for joining us to the conference. It was a great time seeing what other cities across the country are doing. They hosted it in Fort Worth, Texas, virtually for the last 4 days. So it was a great conference, and we're excited to come home with a first and second place for the city of Monrovia. And they had some great competitors, some great things going on across the country. And with that too, on discussing awards, the city is excited to share that 2 city employees, Jackie with the city manager's office and Christina, who's part of our neighborhood services and code enforcement team, both received recognition as the women heroes of the pandemic through the state legislators. So they're going to have a live Zoom next Thursday for the award ceremony with the state senators. And they're 2 of our city staff that received that recognition. So we're excited for both of them. They've done great work in the city with Jackie, with all the social media and information that was pushed out to the community through COVID and the Bobcat fires, and then also Christina with our Tobo permits, keeping businesses moving forward, helping them work through the pandemic as efficiently as they can. So they both did a great job serving the community of Monrovia. So thank you.
All right, so amazing news, guys, really happy. And more good news. So we have upcoming map events to look out for. So we have the 15th anniversary map block party coming up on Saturday, July 31st. So come on by and help us celebrate map turning 15. Map's a teenager, it's a lot to handle, but it's okay, we'll get through. And then following that, we'll also celebrate one of our map neighborhood treasures. And then that'll be August, but date is to be determined, but an email and Facebook and Eventbrite will notify you with the exact date and time. And then MAP-edu, our next one is going to be Saturday, August 28th. Topic to be determined. Always open to any suggestions on what you guys would like to hear. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to share them with us. And then 2021 MAP Adult and Youth Leadership Academies. So for any of you that knows someone who hasn't gone through the academies yet, have them come on by September to October. It's 8 weeks. It's awesome. I believe we're trying to plan the phase into the academies in person, virtual. So we're definitely brainstorming to see how we can best serve you all. So if you know anyone, please feel free to share that information with them, because we need more great map leaders like you all. And then raffle time. So what you guys have all been waiting for.
Wait. We're going to talk about announcements. Can I make one?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Many of the people, I brought this up the other night in City Council, but many people might have known Joe Beck, who was a resident in Library Park for 3 years. Working with him over time, he successfully graduated from Citrus College this past week. He went from being homeless to, let's see, Kimberly McBride got him a part-time job. He started driving Lyft. We worked to get him into housing, worked with the VA and whatnot. He reached out to me a week ago and I've been coaching him. He has now gone to the VA for some real head-on counseling, but had the physical that I insisted he take. And I'm trying to get him to go to a dermatologist because living on the street for 3 years, can have take its toll. The main thing about Joe is he now has this degree in recording technology and he makes music. As the world is opening up, if anyone hears of an opportunity that Joe could avail, either reach out to him on Facebook, Stitch Jones, which is his musical names like Sewing Stitch Jones, or reach out to me and I'll pass it along. Thanks.
Awesome. That's an amazing accomplishment. Kudos to him and all his hard work. Thank you, Gail, for sharing that. Alrighty, so raffle time. Drum roll. Okay. So I did already the fun stuff of doing the randomized choosing through our little digital wheel and put all your names in there. So our first Starbucks gift card is gonna go to Susan Pilcher. Yay! The next one is another Starbucks gift card, Roger Foster. Yay!
Hey, thank you.
And another Starbucks card because, as you all know, for our MAP neighborhood conference, they were a very big sponsor of ours and helped us get you guys one free coffee for our conference. That was awesome, and I hope you guys all were able to enjoy that. But the next Starbucks gift card is going to go to Sarah Farmer Earl. Yay!
Hey, Sarah.
Then the next one is going to be for Wendy's, another sponsor that we had at our last conference. Thank you. So it's going to go to Richard Beltran.
Rigged.
Another Wendy's one is going to be going to Barbara Golar. Yay. And then last but not least, another Wendy's gift card is going to go to Diana Holland. Yay! So, although the folks that are sad you guys didn't get a gift card, always come back to our MAP events because we always hook it up with the raffles. So, always come back for that. Other than that, that's pretty much it that we have. I'll open up for questions again in case we didn't catch any, or if you have any suggestions. Just feel free to share them now before we go on and enjoy the rest of our Saturdays. No one? No? So we covered everything? What? Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good Saturday. I know Justin's going to hop on right after me to say goodbye, but I hope you guys all have a good one. Thank you again for attending. You guys keep MAP alive, so just always thankful for you guys and our amazing MAP leaders.
Hey, bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining, and we look forward to seeing everybody in person as we start doing these events starting in July. So we definitely look forward to working and doing hybrids to get back in person, and neighborhood block parties, the MAP-edus and the Academies. So we definitely look forward to the excitement to come, and we appreciate your guys' support through all of this so that we can stay connected. And just like Alex said, we're going to be launching the Academies, and if you know anybody that would like to participate, send them our way. We really want to grow this MAP program and get everybody connected so we can enjoy the community and help out as much as we can. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy your Saturday. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.